military, of course, were in control, and it struck all villages in the Delta region. 200,000 people died, one mega storm. And the reason why they died is because they were so poor, they had to cut down all these mangrove trees because they needed to survive, right? To cook food and sell it for charcoal. But the irony is that poor people depend on the environment more to survive. So they chop off the environment. But when there's a big environmental disaster, who dies first? The poor. Because they have no more defense now because they cut down their trees and they died. A lot of them died. So this is the crazy nexus, especially for you guys that design projects to help people, communities. So you understand this nexus of poverty and environment. They are kind of linked. And sometimes a lot of development projects are only focused on development. They forget the link to the environment. Or there's some of the conservation groups just focus on environmental protection and they forget the people. So, like I said, if you are all in a small village, what right do I have to tell you to stop cutting down the trees when you can't even feed your own kids? And you have to, because you have an empty stomach. I can't walk into a family who's like surviving and tell them to conserve their trees because they're not. They're trying to survive, to feed themselves now because they could die tomorrow. They're not even thinking like next week. They might die tomorrow. So in whatever project you work, you need to understand and do like a needs assessment of what this community needs, what are the barriers, what are the challenges, and how can I work with this group of people, men and women, to help pull them out of their misery, of their poverty trap, that they depend on ecosystems more than me. Like, rich kid coming from the West or something before you go preaching to these developing countries. So this project is all about helping these people that died, 200,000 of them, and that's where it started in the Delta region. And can we play it? So it's a story of restoring this miracle tree, which people have chopped off. And we call it the forest of the tide. Forest of the tide, because it's controlling the waves in and out the tide. So let's see this little clip and then I'll explain more. We call it the miracle tree.
So my name is Bremley Lyngdoh. I am founder and CEO of Worldview Impact Foundation. Our commitment lies with Dr. Arne Fjordhoff, who is the pioneer who came here in the early 2000s, and I later joined him to help restore this mangrove ecosystem, which he has named as Core Hydel Climate Park.
Tigers.
So thank you very much for welcoming us to Core Hydel Climate Park and taking care of our baby mangrove trees. And Carlos and myself are here to support you on your mission to scale up this project. I know Arne told us that you have planted 6 million trees with 150 field staff and the community from this entire village around here. And those 6 million trees are drawing down 6 million tons of carbon from the atmosphere to reduce climate change. And my mission is to help you and Dr. Arne and all the local community in Myanmar to plant 1 billion trees. 1 billion trees in 10 years' time to promote the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and take action to fight climate change. So I want to call on our friends in London to join forces with us here and help the people of Myanmar who are living in the most high-risk country on earth to protect millions of lives by the sea from storms and hurricanes and tsunamis, and also providing livelihoods through fisheries and storing carbon by planting the miracle tree. So again, thank you very much. Fantastic, sir.
You are fantastic, man. You are the man. You are the man.
Equal to your soul, equal to your body, and stay true to that head.
Yeah.
Be good to your soul, be good to your body, and stay true to Terra Hill. So we can just show them the website. So this is our little adventure. Scroll down a little bit. Keep it. Okay, keep it. Yeah. Okay. So everybody knows what's a miracle tree. Why? Because one little tree hits 6 goals. Raise your hands if you've heard of these so-called UN Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, raise your hands. Okay. Somebody knows. So let's see who hasn't answered before. Well, how about you? Tell us what the SDGs are.
Oh, but I know who to speak.
Objectives for the sustainable development. Yeah,
But-
we have it too.
Okay. Anyone else want to explain?
It's about the agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know the names, but in Spanish.
So when are we supposed to reach these goals? Which year? Which target?
Yeah.
2030. When did governments pledge to reach net zero? 50. Yeah. So SDGs is 2030 and net zero is 2050. Okay. So how many goals are there? 17. Okay. And what is goal? Which one is the goal that relates to climate action? Which number?
9. Number 9.
Climate action.
7.
Climate action. You can check which one is climate action. Because we're all talking about individual actions, right? Climate action. So
None
which?
of them. Yok. None of
Okay.
them. There's no climate action.
Come on. What are you talking about? Which goal? Okay. I'll tell you. It's goal number 13. Okay. So what's goal number 1? Ending poverty is all forms, right? And goal number 2 is ending hunger. It's all form. Then you go to goal number 8 is you promote inclusive growth and you create employment for local people. That's target number 8. Then we just talked about goal 13, us taking climate action. All those women planting those trees are taking climate action. Then mangrove trees are called the forest of the tide because they regulate the tide in and out. So it also relates to life below water, marine ecosystem. We are right next to the sea. We talk about coral reefs and seagrass and mangroves and planktons and the whole web of marine life. And also because they are on land, it's life on land, goal number 15. So imagine, these trees don't burn. We talked about how much emissions that fire, right? The bush fire, how many million tons when a big fire can burn? Who had that?
2.8.
Yeah. So million tons when in Australia, 165 million tons was lost. These guys don't burn because they stand on water. So it's always water. So, it's impossible for it to burn. And 1 hectare of mangrove, we plant like 2,500 trees. So imagine, this land is 1 hectare and you're all individual mangrove trees. Not only do you draw down 5 to 10 times more than me, a tree standing on land, you don't burn. I could burn if there's a forest right now, right here, and I could grow tall, but I could burn and I could die. But you guys don't burn. And you are more powerful than me on land in the rainforest because you draw down 5 to 10 times more carbon from the atmosphere. So if I'm a minister of environment with a smaller budget, where would I invest my money to protect my people in a small island or in a country like Myanmar? Obviously, I would invest in the cheapest and the fastest machine that can draw down carbon, that can protect my people, create fish 50% more for my fishing communities, protect my people from massive storms and hurricanes that killed 200,000 people, and also oxygen. We talk about carbon, but these guys produce oxygen. One tree produces enough oxygen for 5 people to breathe in a life of one tree. You know, oxygen is becoming a rare commodity right now. And then they also, if you guys are those trees, you regulate the atmospheric pressure and you cool down the heat of the planet in that region. So you bring down the temperature by up to 5 degrees centigrade. That's a lot to cool down the temperature. So when you add up your total economic benefits, if you're all trees, all of you, I'm not talking about just carbon, the total economic benefit that you guys as mangroves provide per hectare is $200,000 per year. So each of you are worth $100 a year of the total benefits you bring to my community. What are these ecosystem services? Remember yesterday I talked about nature-based solutions? So I have to put a value on you guys, how strong you are to block the wind of 150 miles per hour. Of course you will go down, but you will go back up because you're so strong. What is that value? If I have a port or big infrastructure and industry behind, can you block the wind from destroying my home or my port or my resort? What is that value from an insurance point of view? If a mega wave comes, if there's an earthquake and a tsunami comes, or a big storm and the wave rises to 40 feet, are you guys strong enough to stop the wave or break that wave? Imagine your forest is 1 kilometer. The wave hits on the front side, and by the time the wave goes to the village, it's just a small tide. So obviously you will be safe because you blocked a 40-foot wave. What is the value of that protection, that shield? Oxygen production. 1 hectare of 2,500 trees each tree produce enough oxygen for 5 people to breathe. Multiply that times 2,500. What's the value of the oxygen production? And the regulation of the tide. Fresh water, salt water. Because of you guys blocking salt water, me as a farmer on land, I can grow my rice and still have protection from salt water intrusion. Because of your roots, you're saving me, a small farmer inland, from a lot of salt water from sea level rise entering my land. So I can continue producing food. So that's why all these goals. If you scroll down, sorry. So talking about just scroll down and then. So how was this project supported? And yeah, you can stop right there. I think we talked about Jane Goodall, right? You know about her? She spent a lot of time with chimpanzees in Tanzania. Yeah. She has a big network of young people all over the world called Roots and Shoots. So because I run a lot of marathon for Jane Goodalls, you know, in the UK you can run marathons and people can donate money for you. So she said, I'm going to support your work with the people of Myanmar. Dr. Sylvia Earle, I sent you a message about her. She's like the Jane Goodall of the sea. She's a marine scientist from the United States, and she's dived to the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. She's been there. They're all in the 80s, by the way, and they're still fighting, these warriors. And Virginia McKenna works to release tigers and big cats back from circuses, from private owners who are killing them, and she runs a project called Born Free. Because it's not just about trees, it's also about ecosystem and biodiversity. And frogs and toads and tigers and cats and elephants and crocodiles and sharks and whales, because we have to protect the entire ecosystem, right? And of course, we need to use a bit of art and music. Moon is one of the amazing artists from Myanmar who actually spoke against the military junta, and now she's a target. Just like, you know, in Peru, they're trying to kill young people who speak against the military government. So she had to, you know, evacuate, and now she's living in France. But she wrote a song for our trees to protect her community because she saw the project and she said, Bremley, how can I help? I said, you've got like 5 million followers. Can you sing a song for the trees, you know? Because artists and singers and sculptors and painters, they have a role to play too, because we can use pop art and culture, just like our banana project, you know? So I think as people who care, we can use all sorts of platforms, from art to the creatives, to the song, to the music, to the way you design your sculpture, to the way you design your banana, to influence the people who don't know or who don't care, because we here are all converted. You know, we're preaching to a converted choir. But how about go to the streets in Pattaya and talk to another person? Can you change their mind? That'll be a challenge. So I want to thank you very much. The journey continues. Why I talk 1 billion trees? Because right now we've reached 27 million between India and Myanmar. But like I said, there are 126 countries around the world where we can grow these guys. So if we can do 1 billion trees a year, max, we can at least project a drawdown of 1 billion tons over 20 years. Not immediately. These little guys also take 20 years to grow. That's why I said it's about 50 kilograms per tree per year over 20 years. But the good thing is that we can protect them for generations. They don't burn. And we ask the government of Myanmar to give the land to you guys. Because if you don't have the right to the land, you cannot get the carbon benefits. We cannot have the government control because they are rip-off. They won't give you the money. So any project you do with regards to healing ecosystems, the community needs to have the right to the land. So that if you grow your trees, those trees are yours, and the carbon and the ecosystem services should come to you because you protected those trees and you should be rewarded as a farmer. But if it's a government-owned land, they will take all the money. So the land have to be given to the people to protect for 30 years and beyond. Second, once you've grown those trees, some rich guy from Yangon or from the city can come and chop it off. So your babies needs to be protected under law. So these two laws are so important. Transfer of land rights to the community. Second, protection of their trees under law. So that no one can take your land and grab it just because they're rich. And no one can cut your trees because they're protected under law. That's the only way the project could work. Now, with this model, even in the most difficult country on earth, which we are still doing, we can replicate it around the world. So we're starting now in Kenya, in Africa, also Latin America. And if you want to learn more and you want to engage, come talk to me later. May the forest of the tide be with you, always. Thank you.